Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Terrible news coming out of Barcelona this morning. Both Frenkie de Jong and Pedri are set to be out for 5 to 6 weeks, reportedly. That's over a month. Not great. And by the way, that reporting is coming out of Barca's medical staff, which I don't trust them whatsoever. I don't believe a single word they say because they've given me no reason all year to trust them. They're always wrong about estimating how long players are going to be out due to injury. Every time they're wrong. They've been wrong multiple times this year. So you can be a fool and believe them if you want, but I refuse to be optimistic about it and then be made out to look a fool later on. So they're saying 5 to 6 weeks. I expect them to be both out for at least 8 weeks, a minimum of 8 weeks. That's just me though. I'm not being pessimistic. I'm being realistic because I've seen this movie play out way too many times to believe anything that they say. But again, that's just me though. Obviously, Frenkie de Jong suffered that terrible ankle injury. I think he tore a ligament in his ankle actually from landing on it very awkwardly. He left the stadium in a walking boot and came into the training facility today on crutches. Pedri suffered a thigh injury. By the way, I apologize for what I said yesterday in my post-match yap session. And not yap session, I said that Pedri suffered an ankle injury. I was wrong. I apologize. He actually suffered a thigh injury. And shout out to everybody who corrected me in the comment section because I was wrong about that. But yeah, Pedri suffered another thigh injury. He re-aggravated his thigh, which we know he injured, I think, back in October or maybe September of this year. That kept him out for a couple months, and obviously that's I think why he was crying coming off the pitch because he knew as soon as it happened that it was his thigh once again, and obviously that's not great, man. It's heartbreaking. But yeah, bro, I want to tackle this from two angles. I want to talk about the micro, what this means for Barca throughout the rest of the year, obviously the 3 months that we have left of the season, and what this means for Barca in the bigger picture. Because I think there's two angles to this, so obviously we're going to tackle the micro first, what this means for the rest of the year. I mean, I think most Barca fans know this already, most realistic Barca fans at least, but the season is over, and the season was basically over when Frenkie de Jong and Pedri were, healthy, but we still had a slimmer of hope then, but now it's really over. You lose, arguably, not even arguably to me, you lose your two best players, honestly. To me, there are two best and most important players, and you lose them both in the same game. That is not great. And they're both going to miss the second leg of the UCL. They're probably going to miss the Clásico, so it is done, bro. And honestly, bro, as a realistic Barca fan, this season ended when we lost to Athletic Bilbao in San Mamés in the Copa del Rey about a month back. That was our last chance to win a trophy this year, and when we got knocked out of that game, it was over. We have no chance of the UCL, and we have no chance in La Liga. Real Madrid are still, I think, 7 points ahead of us, and in the UCL, I think we could beat Napoli in the second leg at Montjuic, but Napoli, all of a sudden, looks like the best team in Europe. They have yet to lose a single game with their new manager. In their last 2 games, they have an aggregate score of 8-2. They scored 8 and only conceded 2. So Napoli, all of a sudden, just our luck, they look like Napoli from last year once again. So we're basically fucked there. And this midfield has no balance now. Because Gundogan has been great, arguably our best player this whole year, but he's 33 years old and he can't do it all by himself. We're playing Christensen at DM, who's not a DM, that's not his position, and doesn't really look comfortable playing there. And now who do we have left? Fermin Lopez and Romeu. Fermin is inexperienced and Romeu is shit. Like Fermin, we can't just throw in Fermin into the wolves the second half of the year and be like, hey bro, carry us for the second half of the season. Go win us a game against Napoli in the UCL. Go win us a Clásico. We can't do that, bro. He barely plays. He's 19. Like, I don't expect that from Fermin. Again, I believe in Fermin, but to put that expectation on him is silly. And Romeu has experience, but he's shit. So what do we do now? This midfield is terrible. You lose your engine and your creator, obviously in Frenkie de Jong, and you lose Pedri, who's just like the heart of that team. So it's just terrible, bro. It's terrible, and the season is over now. The season is over, and I hate to say that. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we live in a fact-based society, and that is just a matter of fact. This season is over. We might get lucky and get past Napoli in the UCL in the round of 16 and beat them at Montjuic, but then who are we going to play? Can we beat Arsenal? Can we beat Real Madrid? Can we beat Bayern Munich if they go through? Can we beat, I don't know, PSG even? Can we beat Man City? Absolutely not. We can't beat any of the big boys, so can we beat Inter? Fuck no. Not with this depleted team, and we barely had a chance of beating those teams with Frenkie de Jong and Pedri. And now with both of them out, it is done, bro. It is done, guys. I'm sorry, but it's done. And I hate to say it, but it's done. And it breaks my heart. But that brings me now to the bigger picture. You don't rush these guys back. And honestly, I'm kind of glad. I'm not glad that anybody gets injured, obviously. I hate to see that. But the fact that, I'm glad that the Barca season is basically lost at this point, because that means we don't have to rush them back. The only reason why we would have to rush both of them back is if we're not making top 4. At that point, you say bring them back as soon as possible. But I hope Barca can get top 4. But again, we don't know. We don't know if Barca are going to finish top 4, but if we're firmly in top 4, if we're secured a UCL spot next year, and we're going to be knocked out of the UCL and 10 points behind Real Madrid, there's no need to see them again this whole year. And honestly, for his sake, I hope Pedri doesn't even play the Euros. I hope Pedri sits his ass down for the Euros and does not play. I know Pedri probably wants to play, and that's me being selfish as a Barca fan, because obviously the Spanish national team would love to have him on the team. But as a Barca fan, I would love for Pedri not to play the Euros. Look at all of our young core of players who have gotten hurt this year. Frankie de Jong is hurt. He's gotten hurt multiple times. Pedri just got hurt. Gavi tore his ACL. Balde is going to be out for the rest of the year. Lamine Yamal has dealt with some time off as well. And Araujo. All of our great young players who we're relying on for the future keep getting hurt. And where does that leave Pau Cubarsí and Lamine Yamal, who are getting run into the ground currently? And that, to me, is the biggest problem with Barcelona having this bad of a financial situation. The fact that Barca are this deep in a financial crisis, there's a lot of bad things that come with it. Obviously, you can't sign players. It's just a bad situation overall. But to me, the worst part is we have to rely on these academy players so early into their career. And honestly, it's hindering the rest of their career. And that's what pisses me off. Because Pedri gets injured all the time. Gavi just tore his ACL before the age of 20, bro. These are career-altering injuries. Balde had a significant injury. That's not good, bro. We need these guys for the future, and there's no need to put them in harm's way for the rest of the year. For what, bro? To maybe get second place? Who gives a fuck? As long as we have top 4, we're good. All we need is a UCL spot for next year. And you keep them healthy. Do not rush them back. Please, I beg the Barca medical staff. Don't rush these kids back, bro. Don't think about the future. Think long term. Don't jeopardize their career for a small moment. No, think long term and think what can happen in the future. We need Pedri. I want Pedri to be a staple of this team for the next 10, 15 years, and we need him healthy. We can't have him keep getting injured. We need Frankie de Jong as well. I was thinking about this today. Could that have been Frankie de Jong's last game in a Barca shirt? Let's just say he misses the rest of the year, and then he gets bought by a team in July. Could that have been the last game that we see Frankie de Jong play in a Barca shirt? I'm not sure if Barca want to sell him, but I know they're considering it because the reports have been coming out. Again, I don't want us to, but who knows? And I love Frankie. I don't want him to leave. And I hope he stays with us for the next 10, 15 years as well as Pedri. And they can obviously build that midfield core along with Gavi. But I don't know. But I know for a fact that Pedri's staying. We're not selling Pedri. So we have to make sure he's healthy. And we have to keep all of our young players healthy. Pedri gets injured a lot, bro. These are a lot, he has a lot of miles on his body at such a young age. That's not healthy, bro. And we're doing the same thing with Lamine Yamal. We can't keep doing this shit and expecting these players to be healthy for the rest of their career. We have to think long term. The reason why we as Barca fans are so hopeful about the future is because we have this great core of young players who, we look at it and we say, hey, you know what, right now we're not that great, but when these guys come good, in 2 or 3 years, when they get more experience under their belt and get more playing time, they're going to be it's going to be another generational team. It's going to be another Barca 08-09. That's why we're so optimistic as Barca fans. But if we keep running these players into the ground and not giving them a chance to rest and recover, then what are we doing? We have to give these players a chance to rest, bro. And seeing Lamine Yamal play all these minutes and seeing Pedri get run into the ground and seeing, Gavi as well, it's too much, man. And I want these players to have a long and healthy career. And I hate seeing that. That to me is the bigger picture. When it comes to Barca's financial situation, we're not like Real Madrid. Real Madrid have all this money. They can go out and they can kind of they don't have to play their academy talent, even though they don't really have any academy talent. But they don't have to play them because they can go out and buy players who can obviously fill in those gaps. So they don't have to obviously, they're not even playing out of the Guler that much. Because they don't have to play them that much. We have to play our young players because we have no other choice. If Barca didn't play their young players this year, if we didn't play our academy players this year, we'd be fighting we'd be in the relegation battle. That's how bad we would be. Because that's how much we rely on Barca's academy time to keep us up. But at the same time, that's a double-edged sword because yes, we're happy that we have a good academy, but at the same time, it's a curse because we bring them up so early and we play them so many minutes. I mean, we have a 16-year-old who's been playing 90 minutes basically every game for the past month. We have Pau Cubarsí who's been a starter for this team basically for the past month. That is not healthy for these guys long-term. And again, we have to think long-term as Barca fans. We can't think about the now only. It's about the future of the club. So for me, man, again, like I said, it's just disappointing because I hate seeing Pedri deal with another injury. I hate seeing our young players they've missed so much time this year, and it's terrible, bro. And for the sake of them and the sake of Barca in the future, I hope that we don't rush them back because if Pedri aggravates that thigh again, and if Frankie de Jong aggravates that ankle again, that's gonna bring that's not gonna be great. And I want Pedri to stay healthy, and next year with a new manager and new optimism for the season, he can hopefully play the whole year, and hopefully we're contending for trophies next year, actual relevant trophies, not like this year where we're in the UCL still, we're in La Liga, we're in the title race technically, but we all know we're not actually in those title races. We're not actually going to win La Liga. We're not going to win the UCL, especially not now, Because we might not even get out of the round of 16 with the way Napoli's playing and the way we've been playing, and the fact that we're missing our two best players. So again, for me, it's like in the short term, like for the micro, I want to recap this video very briefly here. It means that the season is done. But again, most realistic Barca fans knew that our chance at silverware has been done for a minute now. But for the macro, that means that you rest these players and you let them get healthy and you don't rush them back, because there's no point in rushing these guys back. There is no point. If we're fighting for top 4, then fine. But the 5 to 6 weeks, they said 5 to 6 weeks, right? So what is that, mid-April? So in mid-April, if we're knocked out of the UCL and sitting 12 points or 10 points behind Real Madrid, why do we bring them back? If we're like, let's just say in mid-April we're sitting 3rd in La Liga, right? But we have like a 10-point gap between us and 5th place. So we're safely in a UCL spot. Rest them. Fuck it. I don't care. I worry about Pedri and Frankie de Jong long term, especially Pedri, because I think Frankie was one guy that could actually be sold. But again, like even if Frankie gets sold, I don't give a fuck. I want players to be healthy, bro. I don't want Frankie de Jong. I want to see him play. He's one of my favorite footballers in the world. I love watching Frankie play. I love him more when he's on my team, obviously. But if he goes to Man United or whatever team he goes to, I still want him to be healthy, because I want all players to be healthy, because I hate seeing players get injured. And for us, man, we have to keep our academy and our young players healthy. Again, I know Pedri's not from La Masia, but you know he came to Barca at a very young age, and you know he's been running to the ground the past 3 or 4 years. He plays a lot because he's really good, but again, we don't have that depth to sign any replacements that are actually good, so we have to play him so much, and that's obviously gonna hinder his career long term. And it's happening right now. It's happening in real time. Pedri's dealing with injuries right now in real time, and he's been dealing with injuries for a long time now. Pedri's been injured every year that he's been at Barca, basically. He was injured last year. He's been injured twice already this year. And we're already dealing with the Gavi injury. Balde's also hurt. So all of our young core that we're relying on for the future, we can't keep seeing them go down, bro. That's not, like, we have to, like, again, I'm going to say it one more time. Think long term. Fuck the season. The season is done. Sorry, I hit my mic. The season is done. It's been done for a minute now. So just rest them, and then we'll see what happens next year. But for now, if you don't have to rush them back, please do not rush them back. And for Barca for the rest of the year, I mean, I hope, like, I'm obviously gonna watch every game. I hope the team plays well. We have Mallorca on Friday, which, you know, Mallorca they're in the Copa del Rey final, just beat Girona 1-0, so they have all the momentum, and we'll see how that game goes. Obviously, I don't expect us to win that game. I think the team is shot in the heart after seeing 2 of their best players go down, and I don't see what Xavi can do. I'm not putting this shit on Xavi, because what can he do with that midfield? He's already basically working with something like after we lost Gavi, he was already looking bad, and now we don't have Gavi, Frankie de Jong, or Pedri. Like I said, Gundogan, Christensen, and Fermin, or Christensen, Gundogan, and Romeo is just not good enough to contend with the best teams. And I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully this means that he plays Roque more. I'm not sure if he will, but I hope he plays Roque more. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. I'd love to know what you guys think. Am I being overly pessimistic? Do you guys agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comment section. What do you think this means for Barca in the micro and the macro? I'd love to know, guys. Let me know down there. And yeah, man, I love every single one of you. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.